It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. A fine, full, dignified beard.
So, in 1998, a young, I believe I was, nope, I turned 19 in boot camp. So that I was 18. I decided to join the U.S. Navy. Now, at the time, I had a job. I didn't like it. I had no college aspirations. I was a high school graduate, but my grades weren't nothing to fucking be, whatever. And I was just like a shit student who didn't really, towards the end of high school, was like, figure out how much you have to really go and then go. And then when you don't have to go, don't go. So actually, here's my tassel, 1997. That's my tassel from high school. So it was like the next year. I had been out of high school like a year. Working this job. It wasn't a bad job. I worked at an old folks home, like feeding them and stuff. Graduated high school in 97. Had no aspirations of being in college or no aspirations of doing this at all. I didn't even think this was something that was a possibility. Now, it was 1997. So the computer was still a fairly new thing. I think we were up to the Xbox, maybe the Xbox. No, I don't even think we were up to Xbox yet. I think we were still on PlayStation 1 or something in 97. Somebody in the chat correct me on that. So I decide after a year of working this job and doing these things to join the United States military. I left for boot camp on September 21st, 1998. When you sign up and commit to join the military, they give you one of these. This is or they did. I'm sure they don't do this anymore. We're talking about 20 years ago, almost exactly. It'll be 20 years in a couple of months. So this is the United States Navy Delayed Entry Program card. As you can see, it says honor, courage, and commitment. It's got the Navy sign. It's got my name. It's got my ship date. It's got the recruiter's number on it, and it's got my face. Now, this is all pre-9/11, and what this allowed me to do is get on base and use like the gym and shit as I prepared to leave for boot camp. Look at that, dude. That was the last of my beard before I joined the military. That's what I had going on. It was like a chin strap with a Gomez, as you can see. So they gave me that card. So like I said, I went to boot camp in September. Now, I guess that's a good place to start. Boot camp fucking sucks, man. Let me tell you, boot camp is fucking terrible. I wouldn't wish boot camp on my worst fucking enemy because, first of all, and now obviously I'm talking about the days of yore, and I'm not talking about today. But back then, the whole shit was designed to mentally break you down to nothing. Like literally. Like break you into a blubbering fucking asshole, right? And then build you back up the way they want you built up. And that's exactly what the fuck they did to me. Because I knew what I was in for. One of the reasons I joined the Navy was that both my parents had been in the Navy. My mother had done a shorter amount of time than my father, but both were in the military for a number of years. And I kind of had a grasp, I thought, of what I was in for. Now, a couple of things my mother told me turned out to be complete horse shit because the Navy had changed so much just from when she was in to when I joined, which was, about 20 years. And we're dealing with about that, length of time now. So a lot of the shit that I'm probably going to talk about now, if somebody active sees this and things have changed, let me know. But boot camp overall was a fucking shit show. Absolutely fucking terrifying. I didn't like it at all. Not at all. I would have never done it again. I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois, which is about an hour and a half north of Chicago. I'm getting there, Tucker. I'm getting to what my job was. Oh, look at that. I need that. Yup. Bam. I need that. So, boot camps, whatever. And they make you do fucked up shit like breathing, crap ass fucking. All right, that's one I need. Sorry, I see it's going to be loose form. So they make you breathe in the tear gas. They make you do the tear gas shit. Which really isn't all that bad. I'll show you something that happened that was worse later. Because I have a sheet of paper in here that indicates that I did some crazy shit that nobody should have to fucking do in their entire life. It better fucking be in here or I'll be mad as hell. Oh, I need that. Yep. All right. So I get out of boot camp. I left in September. I get out of boot camp the day before Thanksgiving. I finished it exactly how long it was supposed to take. When you're in boot camp, you're under the threat, the constant threat of something called asmoing, when they can knock you back and make you redo weeks of shit. And I wasn't about that life. And I literally was like, yo, if they try to fucking asmo me for anything, I'm going to escape. Like, I was just going to leave and call my mom and be like, yo, I can't deal with it. You need to come get a player. That shit ain't cool. Oh, there that is. All right. Some of these forms say Charles. Some say Chucky, which is funny when I could have convinced them for that shit. But, all right. So I think I got these in order. So after boot camp, Big Chuck Reeves reports for training across the street from boot camp at a place called, I guess it's Navy Training Command, but I was part of the Advanced Electronics Technical Corps School. Now, I didn't know what I was going to do when I joined the Navy. I knew I was going to end up doing one of two jobs. I was either going to end up being an FC, which is somebody who works on the targeting mechanisms and firing mechanisms of large arms and shit in the Navy, and computer systems and radars and shit. Or I was going to be an electronics technician, which is like the boring version of my job because they have to do all the same maintenance electronics shit, but they don't get to shoot nobody. What are you looking for? So I go to this school, and the way this school works is you get to pick your job. So they say after so many weeks, once you graduate, they're like, all right, here's your grade. Here's the rank of everybody that was in the class. Y'all going to pick jobs out of the available ET and FC slots. I don't know if they randomly picked them or whatever. So I completed that. That's what this paperwork says. All right. This thing says it right there. Seaman Apprentice. That's what SA means. Seaman Apprentice, Charles D. Reeves, Certificate of Completion, Department of the Navy, Service School Command. What's it say? For successfully completing the prescribed course of study at Advanced Electronics Technical Corps School, given its Service School Command, Great Lakes, Illinois. So there's that piece of paper. And that's essentially like my graduation certificate I did 14 weeks of, it was more than 14 weeks because I didn't graduate from this school. I was in it from January to May. So what is that? 5 months, 20 weeks. I did 20 weeks of intensive like electronics training, learning how to replace capacitors, read meters, all that happy horse shit. Anybody who works on actual hardware with computers knows what I'm talking about. We had a DC section, we had an AC section, we had a solid state section, we had a digital components section, and they basically taught us based off 1950s technology. It was the most fucking terrible shit ever. So that happened. I graduated from that. But along with that, I got this letter. And what this letter says, it's from the division officer of Advanced Electronics Technical Corps School to me, Seaman Apprentice Charles Reeves. And it's a letter of appreciation noting that I completed the 20-week course of study I exceeded the average rate of progress, which means I completed it faster than most people because part of it was self-paced. And I graduated with a running average of 90% or above. I think I graduated this school with like a 94 or a 96% like final rate. I'm a big brain. If you give me an incentive, and then basically the incentive to do good in these schools was that you get choice of what your job is going to be. The smarter you are and the better you do in any fucking military school, you're going to get better choices of jobs, better locales of where you're going to live, and basically just have an easier time of it. I learned that very early. I learned that in boot camp. So I did that, and I got to pick what my job was going to be out of FC and ET. I called my dad. He said, "You like watching shit blow up? Go be a fire controlman." And I said, "Yes, that's a good fucking idea." So I picked fire controlman school, and fire controlman school is at the same fucking place I've been for 20 weeks. So I get to stay in fucking Chicago the entire rest of the summer. Okay. And I graduated what was called Fire Controlman Class A Strand School on the 9th of August, 1999. Actually, no, it was more than a year. I was there for a long ass time. So there's that. I graduated FCA school. Now, the deal with FCA school was you had to pick a specialty because there's a bunch of different types of weapons and guns and radars and shit. So, of the list of available shit, on the top of the list was Tomahawk, which at the time and still to this day is one of the premier weapon systems in the U.S. military arsenal. And those guys were always somebody us as upcoming FCs looked at as like, that's like the top gun. That's like the fighter pilot of what we do, because they actually deliver giant fucking missiles from thousands of miles away and blow buildings up. So I had a high enough grade when it was time to pick our specialties that I got one of the 2 available slots. Now, I think we had 13 people in my class. So I think I came in 3rd, and I lucked out because the 2 guys that went before me, they wanted something very specific and they got it. And it wasn't Tomahawk. They wanted something that they saw long-term being a job prospect, because Tomahawk kind of isn't something that you can do anywhere else. So I go to Vertical Launch Tomahawk Operator and Maintenance School, located at Training Command, San Diego, California. Now, that was like probably the best 4 months, or one of the best 4 months sections of my life I ever had. Super duper fun. San Diego, living on one base, going to school on another base, getting what's called per diem, which was like an extra paycheck of like $100 and something every day for food and shit. Like, I had a maid at the barracks. Usually when you lived in a military barracks, especially at an E3 level, which is what I was at, I was a third level enlisted person. But we lived in like a hotel essentially. So I had like a maid. I just had to make sure my shit was picked up. But she kept the room clean, changed the trash and stuff. Fucking tit. We used to barbecue every night. All I did was go to school. There was no, that was the only time I was in the military that I wasn't in what's called a duty section. When you're in the military, everywhere you go, you get put in what's called a duty section, because there's stuff that has to get done 24 hours a day on base every day. And they swap duty sections, so it's not the same guys doing it all the time. My first school in San Diego, that was one of the only times I wasn't in a duty section. I think when I went back to this school subsequently, I didn't end up in a duty section either, which was awesome. And the second time was just as awesome, and it was just as long. So the 2 4-month times that I went to San Diego to go to school for Tomahawk were fucking amazing. So I graduate from Fire Controlman Vertical Launch Tomahawk Operator and Maintenance School, right? And I'm an honor graduate because I fucking smoked that school. I was born to do the job that I did in the fucking military. I don't know why. I was just good at being able to draw these fucking lines around these fucking targets and shit and get these fucking missiles where they were going in training scenarios. But as you can see, it says undergraduate on that motherfucker. I was real proud of this. Fucking dope shit. So I go to my first ship, and by now I'm what's called a fire controlman third class, because I had been in the Navy long enough to do a bunch of stuff to satisfy the requirements for my next rank. So I was a fire controlman third class. Let me pull this shit out. These are all second class paperworks, I think. Yeah. Fire controlman second class. I did a lot of stuff later on. Most of these papers are from later on. And a lot of them I don't even think we're going to look at. Oh, nope, that one we can look at. And that one we can look at too. Look at that. Bang. Because those are both third class paperworks. Yep. So I go to my first boat. It's the USS David R. Ray DD-971. The David R. Ray was a Spruance class destroyer. It was one of the oldest small boys in the fleet, and it was a goddamn piece of shit. But I got there as a new sailor, and I got involved with their strike team, and I did my job, and I did a couple of cool things while I was there. One of the things I did was I was awarded a Navy and Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal. It was awarded to me on September 21st, 2001. And what this indicated was that I faithfully and without problem or disciplinary action served the U.S. Navy for 3 consecutive years. Now, this shit kind of went out the window later on in my career when I actually did get in trouble. So I only got 1 in 10 years. But I didn't know if I was going to open the bag, but I guess I have to. This is like my rack. This is an incomplete set of my medals. There's at least, I'd say 2. One of them being humanitarian service for the stuff I did during the tsunami or whatever. But this is my rack of medals, right? That maroon one, that's the Good Conduct Medal, okay? This yellow one on the end here is the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. Everybody gets one of those for just being in the military during a certain period of time. The one next to it, that's a different blue with some white and red in there, is the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. Now, that medal is given to anybody who served in a global war on terrorism red zone during a period of time, which is a lot of people, but it basically that's a combat medal. I got a National Defense Service Medal, which is service. That's the one that looks like the McDonald's colors. We used to call it the McDonald's medal. This is the one that everybody gets if you serve during any period where the United States is involved in conflict overseas. And then this one we'll talk about when we get to it, because I have paper on that one too. The other ones I don't have paper on. I don't even know what year those medals got put in that bag. It had to have been 2006, and they just came out. Y'all should feel fucking, y'all should feel special. So, also, while I was there at the USS David R. Ray, I wonder if I have my name tag. Nope, that's a Mustang name tag. I'll show you guys that in a second. All right, so on a boat, on a ship, when you're in the Navy, you can get one of these. That's an enlisted surface warfare specialist pin, okay? And to get the right to wear one of those, you have to pass a like 500 question written test and then pass an oral board where subject matter experts from different aspects of ship life and the different systems on board the ship ask you questions and you have to answer them. Essentially, to become an enlisted surface warfare specialist, you have to become at least technically proficient in every single aspect of ship systems, whether it's the bridge or the engine room or damage control or fire control or gunner's mate shit or being a bosun's mate. You have to know how to do everything, and then you have to prove it via a written test and then an oral questioning test that usually lasts between 6 and 8 hours. So I got this pin, And with that pin came this little certificate that says FC3 Charles Reeves, aka me, while stationed on board the USS David R. Ray, achieved the qualification of enlisted service warfare specialist for the Spruance class destroyer. Something I'm super duper proud of. This is one of the big things that I did that I'm like, my dad did it. Like, that was something my dad did. And I remembered how hard he had to work to get it. And then I had the chance to get mine. And it was a pain in the ass. And it's a lot of you going to different areas of the ship while you're underway, just on your own, and talking to the guys that work on different equipment and asking them questions. Like, oh, what's that do? Well, what if we have to do this? How do you handle that? XYZ. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I really am proud of. I got it initially, and then I re-upped on that shit when I got to my new boat. When I got to my new boat, because it was a different class, I couldn't wear the pin because it wasn't the same type of boat. Well, I got that fucking right back, and I have that paperwork too. So the David R. Ray was a strange situation because they were decomming the ship. So a lot of what we did was basically training for our next jobs. We did do some cool trips. We went some cool places. We did Mexico a lot. We did Panama and shit. But during that time, I did some dumbass fucking shit. And I volunteered for things because in the Navy, you learn the more stuff you volunteer for, the nicer they are to you. So I volunteered to be like a security force person. And part of being in the security force on board the ship is learning how to handle all the weapons, which was something I was already proficient in because of my standing as a weapons tech. And then you had to learn how to take chemical weapons and handle those. And part of that was going to this USS David R. Ray Security Force Pepper Spray Certification Class, FC3 Chuck Reeves. Okay. I certified with what's called OC pepper spray on April 12th, 2001 at Naval Station Everett, Washington, where I was stationed, where the David R. Ray was. Now, the contents of this class was 5 straight days of me showing up somewhere at 10 o'clock in the morning and then pepper spraying me in the eyes and then me going home. The most terrible waste of fucking time military class I ever fucking did, right? Was just me and like 7 people from the ship standing in a line. And here comes a dude with a pepper spray can. Then you got to like respond to it. They give you like a fucking foam bat and you got to chase this dude around some grass. And I ain't even mad at him. I'm not even mad at him. You know why? I was standing there. I'm the dumb motherfucker who woke up 5 days in a row and drove by the 3rd day, I couldn't even drive myself to work. My eyes were so fucked up. 5 steady days of getting pepper sprayed in the cocksucking face. And bad memories. No long-term damage. I mean, obviously no long-term damage, I don't think. But fuck. To do it again, that's retarded. So one of my jobs on the USS David R. Ray was I was the head of what we called the Strike Syndicate, which was our team of guys who needed to do the things responsible for shooting Tomahawk missiles, whether it was the planning or the launching and stuff. We had to go through mandatory qualifications every 18 months, I think it was, where we had to, show our proficiency at getting our job done as far as shooting missiles, achieving tasking, and all that happy crap that goes down. Now, we did some crazy shit on the USS David R. Ray. At the time, my strike team achieved the fastest qualification in the history of the Pacific Fleet, which is all the ships on the west coast of the United States, Hawaii, fucking the guys in Canada, not Canada, but Japan and shit. So because we did this so quickly, like it was supposed to take 4 weeks, I think, and we did it in 4 days. My fucking commanding officer got me a Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. Now I'm really proud of this jump off And that's this orange and green one right here that you see the most of on my rack. This means that I'm whatever the fuck. I'm cool, I guess. All right. I'm proud of this one too. As you can see, there's a bunch of writing on it, and it explains why I got the award. So I'll go ahead and just read it. Department of the Navy, this is to certify that the Secretary of the Navy has awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal to Fire Controlman 3rd Class Charles Reeves, United States Navy, for professional achievement while serving as AN Swig 3 Bravo Tomahawk Weapons Control System Launcher, USS David R. Ray, DD-971, in preparation for and during Cruise Missile Tactical Qualification, CMTQ, from October 30th to 2 November 2000. Petty Officer Reeves performed his duties in an exemplary and professional manner. As launch control operator, Petty Officer Reeves overcame multiple and sometimes simultaneous system faults to ensure that all required mission tasking was accomplished on time. His skill and creativity in solving dozens of system faults were major factors in David R. Ray's successful Tomahawk tactical qualification. As a result of Petty Officer Reeves' dedication, David R. Ray earned full Tomahawk certification months ahead of the expected timeline. Petty Officer Reeves' personal initiative, managerial ability, and devotion to duty reflected great credit upon himself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Given this, the 28th day of November, 2000, signed T.W. Malloy, commanding officer, blah, blah, blah. So I'm pretty proud of that. It means I did my job super, super good for like a week. Like, you know how hard that is? Can you be flawless at your job for a week? And I mean fucking flawless. So whatever. Time passes. The David R. Ray gets decommissioned and I get moved to a new vessel. Now, I'm getting moved to a vessel that's not done being built yet. It's in a place called Pascagoula, Mississippi at Ingalls Shipbuilding, and it's being built. So, and it's going to have all sorts of new stuff on it. So I had to go back to San Diego for 4 fucking months and go to school. And that was fine by me. And here's that. Certificate of completion for Advanced Tomahawk Weapons Control System Operator and Maintenance School awarded to me. I didn't honor grad that shit because once we figured out we were done, we started blowing shit off. Like, I really didn't like once you go out to the fleet and you do like ship stuff, you realize how full of shit school was. Like, school doesn't prepare you for going to the fleet. Not at all. Not at fucking all. Now, something else that happened while I was on the David R. Ray, some of the other things before we move on to this next arena, was I crossed the equator. Now, when you cross the equator, I actually have my dad's too, which I'll show you. You get judged by the High Court of the Raging Main. Now, this is an initiation, but it's an initiation that revolves around the traditions of old sailors and pirates. And it's got to do with King Neptune and Davy Jones and atonement for shit you did as a topsider, as a landlubber. Okay. So one day I got one of these, and everybody who hadn't crossed the equator got one of these. And it's a summons to appear before the trusty shellbacks, which is what it's called after you've crossed the equator. So you get this, and it's got like a list of charges, which are usually just bullshit. But they have a list of charges, and you go through a whole day, or you used to go through a whole day of getting your ass beat. And that's essentially what it was. Me on my fucking knees, on non-skid, getting screamed at, being told I wasn't shit. But you get through it. And in hindsight, it's not the worst thing ever. And it's a cool story to tell. And some of the specifics I do have pictures of, and maybe sooner or later we'll talk about that. But I don't even think I'm gonna have enough time, because it's already 12:30. I'm only gonna go till 1. I'm gonna end up having to call this shit part 1. The big deal about crossing the equator is seaman like superstition. That's all it is. And at this point, the shit's been watered down and just made bad to the point where No, it's not even fun. Now you get a full-size version of this. You see how it says shellback and stuff? On the back, it's got my information. It says my name, my rank, what day it happened, and where. All right. So the back says, know all ye by these presents that FC3 Charles Reeves, me, on the 10th day of June, 2001, aboard the USS David R. Ray, DD-971, appeared at the equator at longitude 82 degrees, 32 minutes, 9 seconds west, thus entering our royal domain and having been inspected by my royal staff, was initiated into the solemn mysteries of the ancient order of the deep, the order of shellbacks. I do hereby command all hands to honor and respect this trusty shellback. And then it's signed Davy Jones and fucking Neptunus Rex at the bottom. So it's just like, all it is fucking like seamanship superstition. This is my dad's from Vietnam, I think. You know, it doesn't even matter because fucking he's not with us anymore. But his was on the 5th day of October 1983 that he got his. But I have his card in here too because that's my homeboy. I also got this card the second time I went across, but the first card negates the need for the second card, but I just keep them. And the first card's got the seal on it too. My first card's fucking Debo. This is the crest of my first ship, the USS David R. Ray. As you can see, it's a nice little patch. Stays in the box. It's got missiles. It's got Tomahawk missiles on it. All right. And then here's a patch from the vertical launching system, which was one of the things we worked on. So, shit, you know, that might be just a good place to stop because I got a lot more stuff to talk about, and I know I'm not going to be able to talk about it all night.